Good morning. Tina, would you like to kick us off or would you like me to begin and then I'll hand it off to you?
Yeah, I'll kick it off. So good morning, everyone. I'm Tina Serio. I have updated my Zoom background with beautiful Healdsburg because I miss Healdsburg right now. I'm actually sheltering in place in Boston at the time being. But I'm super excited to be here and to talk to you about how to craft positive messaging. Specifically, I'm going to be talking about digital marketing. That's what I do. I actually am a marketer and a trainer, and I'm the founder of Modern Digital, so a digital marketing consulting company in Sonoma. So I'm here to help you guys out. If you have any questions, just drop them into the Zoom chat, and we have a Q&A opportunity at the end. So I'll hand it off to my partner for today. Go ahead, Matt.
Good morning, and thank you, Tina. Thanks to all of you for coming. And I have to say, thanks for giving me a reason to put gel in my hair for the first time in 6 weeks. That it felt really unfamiliar, but hopefully the end result is not too scary. Coming to you live this morning from my home in Parkland Farms. We're in the middle of our homeschool here, so there might be a child or two who pops in. Hopefully it won't be too disruptive. And I feel like it's kind of fitting that that's the case on my end because when it comes to storytelling, especially in telling stories through tough times, I think authenticity is key. And I'll talk about that a little bit here in just a moment. If we can advance to the next slide, that would be great, please. So just to tell you a little bit about me, again, my name is Matt Villano. The name of my company is Whalehead. I really like whales, so that's why I named my company Whalehead. But I'm a writer. Gigi, you laughing there? That's my daughter in my lap. I'm a classically trained journalist, worked for magazines and newspapers for 25 years. About 10 years ago, I started ad copy and marketing writing. And that's now about 50% of my business. I work with some of you on the call. Gigi, put your hand up. I work with some of you on the call here today. Happy to work with others in the future. We can talk more about that offline, of course. But today, I'm really hoping to help provide a bit of a service in talking a little bit about messaging and how you can continue to cultivate a relationship with your customers at this crazy time, during this crazy time where, very few people are interested in buying more than what they need. Very few people can get anywhere, but in fact, we all still need to survive. So I'm gonna take about 10 minutes. I consider myself the opener for today's performance. The headliner is Tina, which is always the way it should be because Tina's awesome. But I will also be here at the end for questions if you have any. So please know that I won't leave you hanging. If we can advance to the next slide, that'd be awesome. Thank you, Tina. So really the gist of the message I want to share today is that in times of tumult, in times of uncertainty, in, let's say, a global pandemic, it's most important to keep it simple. And in journalism school, we learned the components of this acronym is keep it simple, stupid. I didn't want to offend anybody, so I changed that last S to sweethearts. But in this crazy time, I think our tendency is to over-communicate because we're all seeking connections. And yet, as a business owner who's trying to make a connection with a customer, it's really important to remember that the less you say and the more simply you say it, the better off you're all gonna be. You wanna make customers feel like you're there, they can count on you, but that you're not whacking them over the head with a sales pitch at a time when that's not necessarily appropriate. And so in my opinion, really what you want to do is boil your message back down to the basics. And again, I go back to my journalism training here. The basics of any good story are the 4 W's: who, what, where, and why. So Tina, if we can advance to the next slide, please. So who are you? Who? That's in my opinion, the most important question. Who are the people behind your brand? Well, number one is you, the owner. And it's perfectly acceptable to remind your customers who you are and how you got into this, why it is you've got the business you've got, okay? Once you tell your own personal story, why not share stories of the people who are front and center for your brand during normal times, during peace times, on a day-to-day basis? It might be the sales clerk who you've got working full-time. It might be someone that people never interact with, but someone who's critical to the operation, whether it's an accountant or perhaps someone who cleans your facility, or perhaps someone who stocks your shelves. Telling your customers about these people during this time will put your customers' minds at ease that when this is all over, those same people will still be there. And that experience that they're used to with your brand will still be available for them on the back end. Another great way to tell the story of who is with images. And I don't want to steal Tina's thunder here because a lot of this gets into digital marketing and Instagram. But keep in mind, you don't have to write a 700-word Instagram caption. You can have a powerful photo and a couple sentences. And that can do the same job of explaining the who as, say, a whole blog post. Another great opportunity is to grab some good quotes. They might be quotes from someone within your organization. They might be quotes from someone who perhaps is involved with an organization that touches yours, perhaps a city organization or a county organization. So long as it ties back to your who and who your business is authentically at this time, it's going to help build that trust and build those connections with those customers who are seeking that. Okay, if we can go to the next slide, please. So after the who, of course, what is the question you need to answer? And this is where I think it's perfectly acceptable to go back to your mission statement. This is a great time during this time where everybody's reading more, everybody's opening email newsletters, everybody has more time. It's a great opportunity for you to redefine what you are and what your business is all about to the customers who perhaps maybe have lost sight of it or maybe haven't interacted with your business in a couple of months. So dig back down into your mission statement and explain to your customers, this is why we chose to operate our business this way. Emphasize your philosophy. And here, I don't think it's wise to say, hey, the world is ending, isn't this crazy? But I do think it's okay to maybe scale back on that language and say, these are complicated times. We're all uncertain. Well, here's something that we at Brand X have really sort of fallen on in similar times or in tough times in the past. Another way to approach it is to spotlight some of the work you're doing in the community. If you're not doing philanthropy now, that's okay, because if you've done philanthropy in the past, it's great to explain what that's all about and what inspired you to do that. I know a lot of businesses in town support Corazon. I know a lot of businesses in town support Farm to Table. You know, this is an opportunity to not only share your what about what inspired you to make those choices, but also then to shine some light and throw some love to some of these other businesses as well. So keep that in mind. If we can go to the next slide, please. Where are you, right? Okay, so we've got the who, we've got the what. Now, where might seem kind of silly. We're all members of the Healdsburg Chamber of Commerce. Okay, so obviously we're all in Healdsburg. Well, this is a really vibrant and diverse community. Why not spotlight the specific block you're on? Why not spotlight the specific side of town? Why not take an opportunity to say, hey, you know what? In these tough times or in these complicated times, we all could use some attention. So instead of focusing my message today on me, I'm going to shine a light on my neighbor, who not only is a great human being, but also has a really cool shop. And so again, your story suddenly becomes the story of everything around you in your circle. And it's another opportunity to make that connection with customers and get them excited about coming back and exploring that circle when they are able. Again, with the where, focus on some differentiators. So here we've got the where physically, right? That was the first point. Well, what about the metaphoric where? Where are you in your business development? Are you a startup? Are you a business that's been in Healdsburg for 75 years? We have some, believe it or not. Put that into context for your customers and maybe lean into that a little bit with your messaging so that people suddenly recognize, hey, you know what? I've only been going to this place for 3 years, but I didn't know they'd been here since 2005. How great. Well, what an interesting institutional knowledge I now know they have the next time I lean to them for, say, a transaction or maybe some advice. So again, it's more than just the physical where, it's the metaphoric where as well. And, this last point, everybody is confused about, how much of our inner thoughts do we share as a brand, right? It's crazy time, right? I think here it's okay, maybe once in a while, to sort of admit vulnerability and to sort of dive into, hey, this is an uncertain time. We don't know what's going to happen next. But I think you need to make sure that if you go there in a way that is ultimately hopeful and ultimately reassuring. Because the last thing customers want is to be confused and scared. So keep that in mind as well. If we can advance to the next slide, please. So again, we've got the who, what, where, and then of course the why. And the why is the most important of the bunch, because why? I mean, we all at this time are I think re-examining our why. It's existential in nature if you really think about it. So come clean with customers. Why are you in this business? Why did you choose Healdsburg? It's okay to pontificate because everyone's doing that now. And if you're not, you're a robot, right? So open up a little bit about why you chose to open the business you chose, why you chose to locate where you're located, why you're choosing to follow the county rules in terms of distancing and eventually mask wearing. These are all important messages to convey to the customer, again, so that when things do open up again, they know that your business is a business they can trust. Last but not least here on these 4 questions, as we move toward Tina's presentation, I think it's okay to be self-referential on social media. And again, this is something Tina can talk about, but I think there will always be customers who wonder, what are you doing here? Like, why are you messaging so consistently during a pandemic? And I think it's okay to come clean with your customers and basically say, look, we're all isolated physically, but we're in this together. And so social media is all we've got right now. And I think that enables you to essentially convey to your customers why it is you're committing to message in the medium that you're messaging. So keep that in mind. If we can move to the next slide, please. So again, bottom line, make a connection. It's all about those connections. And by the way, not to get too touchy-feely here, but this is not just true for small and medium-sized businesses. It's true for humans. All we want right now is connections. It's all we're seeking. So remember that you're a human behind your brand and that all of your customers are humans. They're not just walking around dollar signs as much as we all need the cash right now. They are human beings. They are just as scared and confused as you are. And the more subtly but openly you acknowledge that, the deeper a connection you're going to make with them. If we move to the last slide here, and I believe this is my last slide, it's just a point I want to make. Actually, I've got 2 left. There's a great analogy that a friend of mine made last week on a similar presentation. It really resonated with me. And he said, in these times, you want to be a farmer. And what he meant by that was that instead of looking only for things to reap, as in profits, as in sales, you need to reimagine this as an opportunity to sow. So instead of this being a time to reap, it's a time to sow. Plant those seeds and look at the next few months as an opportunity to water them and nurture them and help them grow so that when the economy opens up again, when we are allowed and able to move around freely and interact in a way that is to some extent similar to what we're used to, because it's not going to be normal again. That's the time to reap. Now is the time to sow. So really, my parting advice is to seed the next generation of customers today, and remember that this is a long game. It's really, we're doing the best we can now. So by telling that story, you're planting the seeds for a future benefit. And with that, I'm going to very quietly and respectfully sit back and let the main event, Tina Serio, take the helm. Here's my contact info. I'm happy to follow up independently with anybody. But thank you for this opportunity, and we'll see you guys again in the Q&A.
Thanks, Matt. And everyone, you will get the recording and the slide deck, so you'll get our contact information in your inbox as well. All right, Matt, that was great. That was fantastic. Everything that Matt just said to you, now you need to translate that to the digital world. So everything that he mentioned is going to be worthwhile for offline, but certainly for online. So these really come as a packaged pair here. So again, I'm Tina Serio. Modern Digital is the company that I run, supporting small businesses all the way up to enterprise-sized companies. And it's funny that Matt mentioned connection, because that is really the mission of what I try to do with my customers: connect with them, but also help them to connect with their customers through digital channels. So we're going to talk about some tips today on how you can utilize these digital channels. So Matt talked a lot about messaging. I know a lot of you probably have thought about your messaging and what you want to say about your business during normal times, but during a time of an emergency, a time of a pandemic like we're in right now, we want to obviously talk about our businesses, but there is some simple messaging shifts that you can make. And Matt talked more about how to philosophically think about this, but where you might be writing a Facebook ad, for example, or a Facebook or Instagram post to your followers, previously you might be a little bit more explicit and say something like, Jasper's Market is now open downtown. Of course, there are no organizations open downtown selling burgers. So perhaps you could change that and talk about what you are offering right now, how you are serving your current customers. So doing this in a way that it doesn't show that you are trying to capitalize on the pandemic that we have right now, but still that you are serving them. So offering delivery, offering curbside pickup, things that you weren't previously doing before, but you are doing, and still showcasing what is different or what is unique about your business, your high quality products, your locally sourced, everything that your customers know and love, but with this added benefit of getting accessibility to it during the times that we have right now. If you are doing the curbside pickup, or maybe you're doing home delivery, I know that some brands might not have that as an option. I can't home deliver, digital marketing services, right? But offering up your services in other ways. So Lucky Rock is a winery down in Santa Rosa, and they're highlighting on their Instagram that they're able to do home delivery, and they're taking it to the next level and talking about how they're keeping their customers safe, they're keeping their customers well stocked with wine, and they do showcase kind of the behind the scenes on the practices that they're doing to make sure that they're staying within the guidelines that our local governments and our larger governments are asking of all of us. Matt mentioned talking about the good that you're doing for the community. So I know a lot of us don't have, aren't in the food industry, but if you are, there's a lot that folks are doing around, preparing meals. This is ramekins on the left, this is chalkboard on the right. Maybe you help them out. Maybe you're offering up, Q&A sessions for people. Whatever you're doing for the community, highlight it. And whenever you're doing this, either during times like this or outside of times like this, Talk about it as, this is a cause that means a lot to me. So bringing it back to the personal side as well. You may or may not have more time on your hands right now. Every business is different. So assuming that you do have a little bit more time to play around online, this is a good time to try out new channels. So maybe you were weary about researching Google Ads. Well, this would be a really great time, and I'm going to talk a little bit about utilizing this time for education and knowledge expansion. But possibly you haven't had time to try out Google Ads. The image on the right is a Google paid search ad. The image on the left is a display banner ad that the Healdsburg Chamber put together. So maybe this is a good time to try to investigate what it means to try out these channels, how they could help your business. And maybe you don't launch right now. Maybe you just get all of your ducks in order, you do the research, you think about what the imagery and the messaging is going to be for when you do launch a campaign. So like Matt mentioned, this could be that time to sow, that time to think about the different channels that you could potentially use in the future. Also a good time to get yourself organized. So for me specifically, I know, I have a million different things that I'm trying to do with my business. And I don't have a lot of time to plan and organize. So this is a really good time to get your house in order. A content calendar is the image on the left-hand side. So I actually have a blank slide at the very end in the appendix, so you can print this out and write this out on your own. You can share it with your colleagues as well, and start thinking about what are we going to talk about in April, given the times, the state of the state. What are we going to do in May, in June? Start planning out some of the different types of messaging content that you want to deliver and help to serve your customers more. There's an example here from Wine Enthusiast of their content editorial calendar, just so you can get some ideas of how they kind of thematically break out each of their months. And if you're at a loss for ideas, there's lots of ideas out there. There's this tool that I love using to kind of inspire some content ideas. It's called the Content Matrix. If you look at the top axis, it shows different types of content from awareness all the way to purchase. So if you're thinking about the messaging that you're trying to put in front of your customers, maybe you're trying to get them aware of your business, you'd lean towards the ideas a little bit, the ideas on the left-hand side. And if you're trying to get people to purchase, you're going to look more towards the ideas on the right-hand side. And then, as we know, all businesses, all customers behave and think differently. So the vertical axis shows you the state of their mindset. So are they more rational or are they more emotional? And you can kind of plot out some ideas of how you could create different types of content there. This is also a really good time to get active on social media. So, maybe you're just planning out what your social media cadence is going to be once, shelter in place is lifted, or maybe you're just trying to get organized during this time. But with more time at home, people are likely more on social media, and this is a good time for you to try out some new techniques and tactics. So I have a social media checklist over here, just some additional ideas on how to get more active that you might not be thinking about today. Again, you'll get this deck and you can download the tool with the link that's in the deck. I also wrote a blog post on this, so if you want a little bit more detail on how you can get active on social media, feel free to read that. Two of the examples that I want to include here are utilizing some of the features on Instagram. So if you haven't tested these out, they're great ways to get engagement on social media, on Instagram specifically. So the top one is a poll. You can poll people with any questions related to your business, somewhat related to your business. And just, this is really, it's not so much to get like a survey result, it's more to get engagement with your brand, and people love filling out surveys for some reason. Or maybe you want to ask something open-ended. So there's an Ask Us Anything little feature on Instagram where you can ask people kind of open-ended questions. Take a pulse on your community, and that might help to inspire you on how to communicate with them on social media or on other channels like email. Add some variety in the posts that you're posting. So Instagram, Facebook, wherever you're posting today. So a couple of ideas. Matt gave a ton of ideas. These are just a few that I've thought of and used for myself in the past. Motivational. So maybe right now you're like, I can't post, product after product or service after service on my Instagram. That's going to limit the variety, and people are going to get pretty bored of that over time. So maybe you can find an inspirational quote. Maybe you have an inspirational quote that drives you, or maybe you come up with one yourself. It's a good way to add variety. Looking forward to, more accessible times to travel. Maybe you can post, okay, throwback Thursday to when you were out at a county fair somewhere and you were promoting your business, or looking forward to traveling in the future. So travel, people just love looking at travel content on social media. If you are a local business or you're creating food imagery is fantastic visual content for people to consume. And then of course, if you do have products, showcasing your products where they are today. Are they in the stock room? Are they out in your backyard and you're picking the locally sourced food for the food that you're putting together for curbside delivery? So some ideas here for adding additional variety to what you're already posting. And then talk about what you can offer online. So on the left, Healdsburg Jazz Festival, talking about the shelter in place. They've done a good job updating their website, which I'm going to talk in a moment about. And also talking about what you have access to musically online. So what you can subscribe to, what you can actually listen to from the comfort of your home. On the right-hand side, you have Ula Lux, which is down in the center of town. And they have an online shop, so they already had that up and running before. But they're booming in terms of their online shopping right now. And they're talking about the deals that they're offering to people. So as a consumer of this particular brand, I appreciate the fact that they do have this online storefront. And recently I did see that they notified their customers that they're going through their actual stores and they're taking items that were sold out online and bringing them from the stores to online. So just talking about, I thought that was interesting, talking about the back end process of how they're helping to serve their customers better. And then the Santa Rosa Symphony down at the bottom here, talking about, similar to Healdsburg Jazz, how you can subscribe for their series online as well. So reaching people via online channels. Let's talk about hashtags. So maybe you haven't used hashtags yet. So this is a good time to start investigating some hashtags that are relevant for your business. Maybe following some hashtags that are relevant for your business and getting inspiration from other Instagram accounts. There's two ways to do hashtags when you're posting on Instagram. You can either put it within the comment of your post, like Pottery Barn did here, or you can put it in the in the caption, like Pottery Barn did, or in the first comment, like Ula Lux did. So really, that's really your preference as a business, a little aesthetically different. But you can see how Ula Lux is focusing on some broad hashtags, trying to get more reach for their business beyond just like Healdsburg fashion, for example. And then on the right, a shout out to the Healdsburg Chamber. We have our hashtag, This Is Healdsburg, so we love people to use that. And we're showcasing what is coming up, so some positive times ahead, and using the appropriate hashtags there. What not to do. So this brand, we don't know, it's not a local brand. I'm not going to knock any local brands, but don't capitalize on COVID. So this brand is using the hashtag COVID, if you look in their little hashtags, but they are not offering anything around COVID. They're not supporting COVID. They're not even talking about how they're supporting their customers online for COVID. They're just promoting their business and capitalizing on a very popular hashtag. So there's definitely a gray area here, but this is pretty blatant that you should not be capitalizing on a global pandemic. Doing a little bit better on the right-hand side, also not a Healdsburg brand. They are using COVID, however, they are offering a discount, they're connecting with their customers a little bit better, and they're talking about the actual state of the world today. So I show you these two to kind of err on the side of caution if you're going to be talking about the pandemic, because we don't want this to lead to your customers having a bad taste in their mouth about how you're promoting your business during this time. This is also a really good time to do some social listening. So monitoring digital conversations to understand what your customers are saying about the pandemic, about your brand, about your industry in general. So just getting some data points that maybe you didn't have before that you can then use in your digital marketing or marketing in general. This can include blogs, social platforms, analytics, and then align your message to what your customers are saying, to what really matters most to them. Reddit, BuzzSumo, you may or may not have heard of, but it's a great rabbit hole to go down to kind of hear what people are saying. And then just social media in general, people are posting now, and there are conversations being had. So even just doing a little snooping and hearing what people are saying can help you to craft your messaging. Using email marketing. So people are home. You don't have those one-to-one communication opportunities with them face-to-face today. So utilizing email to be sort of a proxy right now for having those one-to-one communications. So I included a link here to more emergency or COVID email examples. So you can click on this link. The one on the right is from a brand that's showcased on this website that talks about what they're doing around COVID. So just an example of an email that this brand in particular sent. And maybe you might be asking, oh my gosh, I have no email subscribers right now. But maybe people are coming to your website, including an email field for people to sign up with some sort of offer helps to generate more email subscribers that you can then utilize in the future. You can, find those people via email in the future, either with something that's related to the times today or in the future once this is all over. And the bottom image is just an example of a piece of content that you can offer people in exchange for their contact information in order to build up your social media, in order to build up your email subscriber list. So this is more of a business-to-business example. If you're a local business, maybe you create a little infographic using a tool like Canva. If you haven't used Canva, it's super easy to use. You can create an infographic about anything. Say you're a local bike shop. What are the 4, ways to get your bike ready for your next ride? Create an infographic on that. And then offer it up for people in exchange for their email. A couple examples from local businesses. So the one on the left is from Catherine over at the Daily Method, where I'm also a bar instructor for the Daily Method in Santa Rosa. So she just reached out to her customers, telling them what the state of the studio is, what their offerings are around membership, and just kind of reaching out and staying in touch with them. She's also done a really good job, her and her team, of keeping really active on social media, offering up online classes. So for a business that primarily functions in person, they've really they've navigated into the online space pretty quickly. And then during these times, if you're thinking, I don't really have anything to say about, the COVID pandemic, you can also just talk about your business in general, or talk about what people can do at home, either with your business or just in something related to your business. So I sent a newsletter recently about how people could do digital marketing for themselves at home. So you'll notice some of these examples I've used in this presentation, but this was more of a informational email to try to get people to understand there is still digital marketing that you can do. A lot of digital marketing you can do right from home without working with a consultant like me in person. So give your website some love. So while you have a little bit of time, maybe take a pass at your website, pretend that you're a customer and you're coming to the website for the first time. So I've included this website audit guide. I also have a download version of it and a blog post on it. A couple of the things to think about for your website specific to the times we're in today. You may already have your contact information and your hours on your website, but your customers may not know that those are up to date given where the businesses are today. So you could have a notification for them on your homepage, somewhere on your contact us page or hours page to say that these are updated as of a particular date, or updated as of the shelter in place state that we're in right now. And if you do have a website, hopefully y'all do, think about, in addition to cleaning up the user experience, also cleaning up your SEO. So I have a slide in a moment that shows some of the elements that can be adjusted for SEO. This is a search result, so what you see in the search result, and you have the opportunity to edit all these different elements to make sure that you're ranking for keywords that are important to you. So for me, if it's important for me to rank in the search results for a term like digital marketing speaking engagements or digital marketing speakers, I'd want to include that within these different elements so people see that when they are searching for those terms. And this is more of a takeaway. I'm not going to walk you through every single how-to with SEO, but these are all the different elements that you're able to adjust on your web pages to try to rank for particular keywords that are important to you. And at the same time, maybe take a look at some of the tools that are out there. So I've listed out some tools here on the left to put some images here as well. There's a lot of resources for you to get active in SEO, just beef up your knowledge base, and just start chipping away at your pages to see if you can generate some free traffic to your website from SEO results. And while we're on the topic of education, why not do some reading and some education about digital marketing during this time? There's no limit to the amount of resources for you. You can sign up for my newsletter. I post information in my newsletters to tell people about just the trends and interesting articles that I find. Maybe read a book, maybe order something on Amazon, or get an audio book. There's actually a digital marketing for dummies. I have not read it. I probably should, but I don't want to consider myself a dummy in terms of digital marketing. But if you want to have a physical book, that's an option for you. Read blogs, check out guides from well-known brands like HubSpot, Moz, Google, Facebook. There's online learning sites. LinkedIn Learning and Udemy have endless content on any of this topic, as well as any topics out there. I have trainings. All my trainings right now are online, so you can find those with this link. Or I have dozens and dozens of links on my website with digital marketing resources, so I have those for you here. And then a lot of us are on our phone right now, so maybe play around with some new apps to spice up your social media. So some additional tools for you. I've included some of the app visuals, so if you can see what the apps look like, and then some on the right-hand side that I just didn't have time to get screenshots of all those different tools. I use Canva probably every single day to create content. I use a lot of these visual and Instagram apps to create beautiful, compelling Instagram organic posts. So take a peek at these, try playing around with them. Here's a few more, literally screenshots from my phone. So take a look. The one that I've been using the most on the bottom left is story art. So if you follow my personal Instagram, you'll see a lot of story art templates. So it's super easy to use, and they're actually really fun to work with. Okay, so that's it for me. We're going to open it up to Q&A, but if you want to work with me, I'm happy to talk to you about doing any digital marketing. Again, you'll get this slide deck, so you can contact me or contact Matt as well. So, Alina, I don't know, do you want to field the questions? I put a couple sent me today.
Yeah, so we did get a question in the chat, and if anybody has a question, please pop it into the Zoom chat feature right now or email me at alina@healdsburg.com. But a question here says, are there apps that can monitor what your competition's social media activity is? There was a good one called Perch that is no longer in business.
I actually don't know about competition. Trying to think. I don't know. I'll actually look into that. Wow, I'm already stumped with the first one. So competition on Instagram. Yeah, I don't know. I usually just do the snooping directly on Instagram, but I know SpyFu does help you. I'm not sure how much they help with social media. So SpyFu was one of the tools that I had up here. So you can see the bottom right, SpyFu. I know that some of these other tools are more around search, but for social media, I will look into that and I can send it off to Alina.
And I guess Sprout, somebody put this in the chat, Sprout has a good competitor report. So
awesome. Yeah, a lot of these tools that I have, let's see, here on the right-hand side, I bet they have a deeper competition feature in there. I'm not sure how much you have to pay for that, but like Hootsuite is for social. These are all for social. So Hootsuite's for social, Sprout's for social. I'm trying to remember which one have competitor features, but I can look into each of these and let you guys know.
Matt, you have a question. Matt, you opened by saying keeping it simple, sweetheart, but my stories are long. What to do?
It's a great question, and thank you for asking that question. I think all of us, all of our stories are long, right? There's my daughter, Gigi, everybody. I knew it was coming. Gigi, everyone just spotted you. You know, I think my advice on that point is simply to break them up. You know, think of your story as a chapter book, and think of each chapter as a different point of communication, whether that means a different Instagram post, a different Facebook post, a different blog post. And what's really, I don't know what just happened.
I just stopped sharing just so we could see our faces. Okay,
so long as you guys can still see me. What's really exciting about thinking of it that way is that you can begin to weave different threads of the story together. So if you've ever seen a challah bread, you've got the three different, essentially three different strands of bread woven together like a braid. Think of your storytelling in that way. So you've got one strand that's on Insta, one strand that's maybe in your blog, one strand that's on Facebook. Maybe you're actually leveraging Twitter as well here and there. And together, all of those different angles and aspects in different voices as well, if you really want to get nuanced, can work to tell that complicated story you have. I mean, look, we've got at least another 2 months to tell that story, right? So think of it as your opportunity to serialize the story and give it to your customers over time.
All right, thank you, Matt. Any other questions from anyone? All right, well, as we mentioned before, we will be sending this deck out. Oh, hold on, not a question. This is from Larry. But 15 years ago, your story about our company appeared in the Chronicle. It put us on the map. So thank you from Larry to Matt on doing a story on the Soar Russian River adventure. So if you guys haven't been on the river with Larry, then you're missing out. So really time to start planning.
And Alina, do the questions that were sent in before, I'm not sure who asked them, but I tried to speak to them in the presentation, but let me know if those folks that sent those questions did not get that answered.
All right. Well, Matt and Tina, thank you both so much for spending your Friday morning with us and helping us navigate our business messaging through these novel times. And thank you to everybody who participated today. We are doing chamber virtual check-ins every Friday at 9 a.m. Next week, we'll be joined by Jason Lyles, who's the senior advisor to Mike McGuire and a former City of Healdsburg mayor. So definitely check that out. And then the week after that, on May 1st, we will be joined by Jennings Emel, who is the Western Director of the U.S. Chamber of Commerce. So he'll be speaking about economic recovery kind of more on a national level. So please join us for that. And again, Matt and Tina, thank you both so much for joining us today and for the knowledge.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you. Stay safe.
Bye, Matt.